Hey. What's up, man?
Trying to figure out where the video stream is.
We're starting early today?
We're actually starting late. It's supposed to be 2.
Oh, okay. Must have fallen off my calendar. I won't be able to stay on too long today anyway.
Yeah, I think about people have comes.
We built the data, but that was nice.
Sounds like those roads having people flying all over the place or by cars.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Brandon's tweets last night about getting home really late.
I have no idea where the broadcast URL is.
We're trying to figure out
Yeah, let's hope the lab's doing an open floor plan too.
Yeah, our floor plan's pretty open.
Sounds like you had a good day last night. Sora was telling us about it. Yeah.
I forget where the embed link is.
So am I the only one who was at Recon this week?
Probably.
Some decent monitoring stuff there. The Boundary guy and the guy from Omni TI, Theo, both talking about a bunch of cool stuff.
Have you actually played with her probably?
No, I haven't actually, but the histogram stuff he was talking about make an awful lot of sense. Especially like I've got a lot of timers that happen at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's that, because the way he showed, it makes total sense when you think about it, right? But the way he showed how you can see sort of divergent chunks of your system through histograms better than you can, obviously like averages are kind of dumb at a certain point.
Yeah.
You know, and with graphite, of course, everything just gets compacted over time, right? So it's kind of hard to go back.
Graphite's only good for remembering that collected as a statistic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only as good as whatever you threw into it.
Yeah, and it's good for us to see stuff like throughput, volume on messages, things like that. But to see actual API responses or like a whole path, that kind of stuff, not so much. So those two are really cool, and also just the stuff that Boundary was doing, where it's kind of I don't know if they do much discovery, but being able to see sort of what happens per port in your system, like one of their case studies. Have you guys seen the slides yet?
No.
They're up D2FN on Twitter, I think. But the second case study was like where a React node drops out, and then it comes back, and you can see the handoff happening while business as usual on all the rest of the nodes. It's pretty cool to check that kind of stuff out. Because I know, Vince, you were bugging me about Boundary before.
Yeah. Well, probably more useful to you than me.
Yeah, no, it looked, and especially because they try to go as non-invasive as possible.
I told you how the agent works.
I think you might have been passing it.
Basically, it just collects it was a collector that emits net pool statistics. But it's not as useful for me because I can gather all that information from switches normally. But in an environment where you don't have access to the upstream, it makes it a little bit easier to sort of graph where your graphing mesh where all your traffic's going. For me, it's just informed me that all my traffic's going to storage servers.
Right. Yeah. No, it just seemed kind of cool because we have a lot of interconnected stuff, obviously. Right? Like we got all these different Akka nodes doing one thing and a bunch of different Akka nodes doing another thing, and we got RabbitMQ, Mongo, ZeroMQ, all this stuff in the mix. So I can see how there's like definite utility in getting a little bit more insight into that.
It's also useful for them because they can show they can detect packets being arriving in that order and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Things that are kind of pain in the ass to debug if you see them.
Yeah, no doubt. It's it was a really cool presentation. That and the React monitoring one, and then it's not quite as ops specific, but sort of, because Ines is obviously ops over at Engine Yard, but their talk on React in the cloud kind of shit, that kind of stuff was actually very cool as well. Yeah. That particular talk actually was like they were killer. So much good stuff in that.
They didn't have some problems with the districts?
I don't know. I was in the room, so yeah. But yeah, I heard they caught some reference to buffering and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe, I don't know. But they're going to. I can't remember who I was talking to. The end of the day, just before Eric Brewer's talk yesterday, they said there's only going to be like a half-week turnaround time on the talk videos. So yeah, they should all be up pretty quick. But yeah, Theo's talk, the OmniTI one, people were asking about open source alternatives to that, and he was just saying just like hit R, basically, because I guess they use like a slightly custom statsd, I think, for their stuff, and then it shouldn't be too hard to repurpose that. Aren't there a bunch of implementations of that by now? Because like the common one is in Node, right? But
there's a million of them for every single language.
Yeah,
I've probably written one.
Yeah, it's UDP and some files, right? Like it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's a sort of aggregator and a state machine.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be that hard to actually like do some sort of drop-in replacement that will actually give you a little bit more, meat in there.
Yeah, one of the things that I hadn't checked out yet from Public Conf was CEPMON.
Sorry?
CEPMON.
CEPMON. CEPMON. Okay.
When the guy from Google came up and he was talking about how we all need to learn calculus for monitoring. And someone from Mozilla mentioned it. So it's kind of on the list of things to check out.
CEPMON, huh?
CEP.
CEP, sorry, my bad. I can't hear worse shit today, apparently. Oh man. Yeah, too much noise at a Hootsuite.
You have to hover my finger a little bit for that.
Yeah. Yeah, here's your your options. apparently I'm daft.
You're daft.
I'm daft because, yeah, man, my mic mute's weird. It's, I can't seem to Google that SendPod shit, but whatever.
It is, okay, where'd you go?
Oh, yeah, Bill. Oh, well.
Charlie Echo, Charlie Echo Phoenix, MON.
MON, yeah, okay, cool. I'm all kinds of hard of hearing today, apparently. So, gotcha, cheers. GitHub for the win. Oh, okay, I get it, yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, there's a...
Oh, via Esper.
Oh, Esper was another thing that, I think Lack brought that up, or Jordan brought that up a couple sessions ago.
Yeah.
It's a crazy sort of event stream monitoring, and he's never got any going, but he's seen one instance where someone actually did a good job of it.
Okay. Yeah, I eyeballed it a while ago when we were doing our streaming shit, like push notifications and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But didn't take it too seriously at the time. Maybe I should relook at it, because isn't the idea with these things you kind of give it some declarative rules and stuff, and it just does its thing with it and gives you the right shit out at the end of it?
Sort of. You either feed, you either like give it a copy of the feed or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead of it being log based, it's event based.
Right.
In the pure sense.
Interesting. Might have to take another look at that then. And this setmon shit is, who's using it?
Mozilla,
Okay.
I think.
Where's Brandon when you need him, man? Shit.
Yeah, they're all working.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's all good. Huh, cool. Yeah, let's dig into this one.
Yeah, there isn't really a topic today.
No, it's all good, man.
Oh, it actually.
Were you guys keeping up on the recon fees?
No. We don't use React.
No, it was actually, I mean, there was a lot of good stuff outside of that even. You know? It was not like, it wasn't at all sort of, this is React, rah, kind of thing. It was more distributed system lessons from it, and a lot of other stuff about, like, some of it was basically like what's good about React and where does it break down on you, which is refreshing, obviously, because it's not a constant sales push. But there's a bunch of shit just like on random monitoring things and other unique uses of a lot of these ideas, which were really kind of cool. That's I think kind of mixed well with this sort of buzz around event sourcing and all that. You know, it's all this monotonicity they're talking about. That's Hellerstein talk. It's like just fucking genius. It's heavy as far as I'm concerned, right? Like for me, like I don't have a lot of the same background for it, but it's very, very cool stuff. And I mean, the con in general was just deadly.
Yeah, a lot of things from public companies sort of like, oh, I have to go review the video for that later.
Yeah. It's cool stuff, man. It's this CRDT stuff. Well, I sent you those links, right, Vince?
Well, you told me the acronym and I went and looked it up.
Yeah.
I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago tonight.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, man. Just crazy idea. Like, awesome. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, and like more and more of our shit's all distributed, and we need to less and less shared state, right? It's critical for things to stay up. So, yeah.
Well, especially since so many of the resources are going to be so disconnected from each other, like distance-wise.
Yeah, it's like as loosely coupled as possible, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, way cool. It's going to take me months to digest that con, man.
Apparently, there's a JavaScript conference in Europe that was quite popular.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
The two people I know that were at it, Brian LaRue and Andrew Fabric, I think they've both been in talks at it.
Huh?
I don't remember the name of it though.
Cool.
All right, guys, I got a jet. Thanks.
Cheers.
Later, dude. Oh, small crew today. Shit.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Better if this was full of beer.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not there yet.
I'll be there soon enough.
So, how about we talk about technology debt and the steady march of it? I am lucky enough to be starting something new. So it's all fresh and clean and only my own mistakes to recover from. But recently came off the stint where I had an ugly legacy of, multiple people in charge moving in and out of the position over 3 years, leaving a total mess of technology debt. Different standards, different OSs, everything you could possibly do wrong from an operational perspective was wrong. And I think a lot of people end up in that place unintentionally because they didn't implement the best practices to begin with. So I think it's... And sometimes we end up in that place just because there hasn't been time to keep up with the debt. So I think it's a worthy topic to discuss, keeping up with technology debt and how to keep it at bay. Even things for me where we finally got our organization under control, where, just keeping up with base operating system upgrades, even with configuration management in place, was a huge undertaking.
Oh, were you using a deployment system to track the
You
updates?
stick around in a company for 3-4 years, and now you're looking at, major operating system changes, right? So you're now all your underlying libraries are changing out, and it can become more challenging. And then cookbooks, even if you're using Chef or Puppet or whatever, things need to be rewritten to take advantage of, to call for different packages or to take advantage of, mostly it's around package management, frankly. It's just a nightmare. So, anyway, that would be a proposed topic for us to discuss. Anyone else has experience there?
Personally, no, but organizationally, we have some of that for sure. Yeah, like there's still stuff running on older versions of Ubuntu that have their own issues. Just to try and keep it working. House-wise, that can have its own set of challenges. Obviously, I'm not too deep in that. I've had the luxury here of actually being on a lot of new stuff as well. So like the only technical debt I have is, well, I've got one thing on this version of Akka and another thing on this version of Akka, but really like it's all JVM 1.6, so who gives a shit, right? I'm very lucky in that respect. But organizationally, definitely we've got some of that happening ops-wise, for sure. How do we deal with it? Write more shit on the JVM? No. Not quite a valid answer. I don't know. Vince, you've been through a bunch of stuff, man.
Mostly the ways I've dealt with in the past where others conspired everything or everything down everything.
All my friends.
It's not a problem for me.
Well, especially if you got like a heterogeneous environment, right? And you're kind of always going to have some sort of imbalance there. You're going to deal with, right? Like some things you're going to have a big technical debt on, and some things you're not. Like my shit, I don't have a lot of technical debt. It's all within the last year. But some of our systems that are around for 2 or 3 years, it's a totally different story.
I think from a larger operational view, it's really difficult to balance putting your time and effort into new things, and how much time and effort is necessary or is worth it to put into your legacy systems that are probably essential to your infrastructure. In a lot of cases, they are essential. And yet they're, running on legacy operating systems, legacy whatever, with some kind of technology debt that's just lingering over our heads. And the longer we stick around, the harder it gets to deal with. For me, it's always been just a question of setting the time aside. Certainly new operational tools, configuration management, not leaving snowflakes behind has helped. But it's certainly not a magic bullet. I don't think that, beyond just moving on and finding another job, there's not I don't think there's a lot of easy answers out there. I'm just curious how other people are solving that particular problem. I have regular cycles of, going through everything in their infrastructure or what, but I don't know.
How much of this also is like, I think there's probably a fairly serious impact, like your actual design of your system, like the software that's running on ops. Because more and more we have this theme where, dev and ops really shouldn't be that separate, right? I mean, obviously there's some logical separation of the two, but you really have to have a lot of awareness between those two worlds, right? As we build more and more of these interconnected systems. So I wonder, this is a very long-winded way of getting around to a dumb question, that if you've got these large monolithic systems, aren't you more susceptible to technical debt that way? Because you have these huge silos of stuff. Whereas if you're moving more towards more granular service, to use a buzzword, service-oriented architecture, if you go that route, would that not assist in eliminating technical debt? Because you can attack it more piecemeal. Right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that having your services split out, either logically at a instance or server or virtual image layer, or just at the specific application level, and breaking things out as much as possible makes it easier to deal with technology debt, certainly. And that's definitely should be considered a best practice. And
that pushes the responsibility for technical debt on. I mean, in one way, it can push it to somebody who maybe is not ready for it. Like maybe your dev team is not ready to deal with that, right? But I think at the same time, maybe look at it more as distributing as well, right? Because your ops and dev are now equally responsible for the technical debt, right? Doesn't that help in some respect as well?
Part of the things that we mentioned is pocket updates and stuff like that. It's just you have an increased large surface area of things that you need to track and change. The only thing I can suggest for that is to make sure that you actually really need those packages. If it's you don't need to track every version. You don't might not need cups installed in your machine. So if you're rid of it.
So you advocating not a scattershot approach to your systems, basically, right? Thinking again, it sounds like you're arguing for a lot of granularity and the way you can configure stuff, right?
Well, there's investigating your surface area.
Okay.
So if you go, I know people that will just take an operating system install, they'll install everything, and every week they need 100 patches to change. Some of them involve automatically restart and whatnot. You can't just do that in all of these cases. Either because it's a Ruby app or something like that. So you now touch this one random thing, and as a result, because this package is replicated, it can restart everything. So find out if you actually need to do that. If you don't, stop there. But yeah, and most places in the world have that issue, and it just takes years and years to have to excise all that stuff. Which is unfortunately not the answer people want to hear. The other thing you can do is if you have a good management system and integration management system going, just blow shit away. It's sort of the whole. That's one of the reasons why I don't like the whole images on Amazon.
Right, all your AMIs and all that floating around.
Yeah.
But that's why we have shit like Puppet and Chef, and we're looking at Ansible now too, right? It's so that you don't have to do all this pre-baked shit. You can be much more specific about exactly what you're trying to get on a particular machine or whatever.
But I mean, even things like upgrading. Okay, so today, if any of us have MySQL in our stack, we're most likely on 5.5, right? In a few years, or maybe we're on 5. And if you're on 5, you're working with technology debt today because you know that you can't stay on it forever. You're not current. You need to move to 5.5. And those of us on 5.5, lucky enough, started something new, haven't had to make that migration. In a few years, we're going to be needing to move to 6. You know, or wanting to for whatever reason.
There's a difference between technology debt and not fixing something that is broken. Like the previous versions of the database are fine until the vendor no longer supports the operating system that you're running on. Then at some point you need to make an investigation as to whether or not it's worth proceeding. You can still find your systems out there that are running version 3, 4, or 5. And in fact, besides everyone never at all. That's the reason why it's good at work. When you start getting into technology, that is when you start. It's like you could improve this process, but you don't because you're too busy with things. So you're doing this thing where you copy this file to this thing, run the script, and then edit this specific line, and da 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 da. And this is something that you can still do script or fix the upstream processes, but you don't. That's technology debt. Situations where you're just not running the latest and greatest that falls into the business decision. It might not be worth like first I was working at, we did a SQL Server 2000 to 2003 migration, and as a result, Microsoft had a bug that if you're running backwards compatibility mode, legal area system works. So instead of they went and actually fixed the problem, limiting that instead of running 2 concurrent systems where they know they had a plan and they knew that they wanted to do that. Instead of actually spending the time and effort, once they've identified the issue, they opted to go and fix it because the people involved knew how to fix it really quick. The other option was to back out everything and just sort of end this release process. And just never move forward with ever again. And just, there's all these improvements with new versions of the database that reduced a lot of the technical issues causing the problem. But you'll still find banks from the US too. Migrating to Windows or anything else won't improve their situation. But actually, will probably incur more technical debt because they'll take already working existing processes that don't necessarily improve actually cause way too much work, which will never get done.
I think there's a fine line there. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I also have been in situations where, it's don't upgrade the database server. We have no idea what will happen, and then after 3 years or 5 years or however long, like you said, the vendor stops supporting it. Everyone stops supporting it, and there you are. Your dev team, your ops team, everyone is afraid to touch it, afraid to upgrade it because you didn't keep up. And I think keeping up with not necessarily the latest and greatest, but let's call it the latest and stablest, is the onus of doing that and driving that falls to the operations department. It falls to us to say, no, really, we need to be on latest stable, or at least we need to be driving towards latest stable. Otherwise, we are implicitly gaining technology debt by not, keeping up, right? Because we developed a web application that can only run on, Apache 1, and we can't move to 2 because, dear Lord, right? Not that that's a real situation, but,
That is for real networks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally a real
awful,
situation, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we're back to this issue where technical or technology debt is not solely an operational issue, right? Or I mean, it kind of is, but you've got dev responsibility there too, because you can't move to. Sometimes you can't even move to the latest and stablest, let's say, unless you're totally ready for that on the software side. Right? There's
Absolutely.
all kinds of shit that keeps it.
I just feel like it always comes down to operations to drive it, and to be saying that these are the new standards. You know, as the operations team to be saying, you know, we are helping you define what your operational environment is that you're developing in, that we're supporting, that we are helping you engineer into, and to help drive that as a business objective, to say that this is worth it and that this is going to save the company money over the long haul. That's
ultimately that should possibly ultimately be the responsibility in a pure operations environment. You should be getting feedback, you should be suggesting improvement. There can be a very fine line where this becomes a new corporate environment. In a small startup, yes, the ops guy is probably going to be the person who does something. Who's the one they're the one that's tracking this giant moving target. But an established enterprise, not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a lot of culture, right? And that's sort of what the whole DevOps thing is about, right? It's trying to push that culture out there and to share the responsibility. Anyway, good topic. Good chat.
Ultimately, it's not just an operations thing. It's the entire corporate responsibility.
I think there's a strong argument for it to be a two-way street there. It's I think that there's an onus on developers to try and push technologically superior solutions as well, which can absolutely be the latest and stablest. I mean, sometimes it indicates a technology change is necessary as well. But I think I'm starting to strongly feel that it's equal parts dev and ops to push that particular type of solution to technical debt, right? Because I mean, that's not all kinds of technical debt, but that's one glaring kind, right? Or it's just on the wrong version. We don't. We've got a very limited support runway here and all the rest of it. I think that's
If you don't have the ability to prove through either automated or testing that your subject matter won't work, then you definitely make a business case for spending
True.
money.
True, because it's money. It's money and time, right? Yeah. Makes sense.
That's the screwy shit that we deal with. I think. For the dev basis.
Totally. All right, I gotta bail, guys. Good chat.
Anybody else want to talk about? I'm probably gonna have to end this.
I already volunteered to topic. Filled my quota for the day. But it was a fun one, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not something that really ever gets solved quickly. Sometimes it can be solved quickly. It's farther than, but I don't usually get the lecture.
All right, looks like a good short Hangops today. Fun times. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.